Okay, we're speaking with John Burris. And John, you're on your way back to San Francisco. I know we only have a few minutes. Can you tell me what questions were you not asked that you feel should have been asked by reporters earlier today?
Well, I think that there was the question of what role did race of Oscar Grant and or the status of the police officer play in connection with the verdict. And my feeling is that the jury came down to the position that they did for involuntary manslaughter, largely because it was difficult for them to evaluate a police officer killing someone in the line of duty and not giving him some consideration for that. Plus, the defense really played a racial stereotype card against Oscar Grant. Oscar Grant was 22 years old, African-American. He had African-American young friends. And whenever he could, Michael Raines would try to scare the jurors in thinking that everybody in Oakland was gangsters and bad people. And he got into some of Oscar Grant's record. But that was his effort to diminish Oscar Grant and to give the impression that he was unworthy of protection, and to somehow elevate Officer Meserly into thinking that he was just a low-level police officer doing his job. That question was not asked.
Do you feel that if some of the jurors who were excused were more sympathetic with your case?
Well, we know this, that the defense lawyer deliberately excused all of the African Americans that were in the jury panel, all of whom were essentially middle-class African Americans who had jobs, who had careers, who had stable families, and every one of them was excused, largely because Raines did not want any African Americans on that jury who would have some appreciation of the conflict and the treatment that police officers have engaged in historically against African American youth.
I thought the family was quite strong, and they came out specifically against violence, and there have been no riots. There have been a couple of...
It's a very solid family. This is a God-fearing family. They're hard-working people. Oscar Grant came from good roots. He was a young man who was trying to find his way, but this is a solid family, and it's been a real honor for me to represent them down to the year and a half, because their family is very much like most African-American families, people who work hard and try to raise their kids, who have jobs, and who are not violent people.
When did you get a sense that, the verdict was going to be what it was?
Well, I never had a sense that it was going to be an involuntary manslaughter. I did have a sense that it was going to be a manslaughter based upon a question that was asked yesterday when they asked about provocation. Provocation goes to the issue of goes to the question of voluntary manslaughter, and so I thought that was where they were leaning, and so I was surprised when it came back involuntary manslaughter.
Were you aware that today on NPR there was a story about whether it should be illegal to tape people who are, when the police in action, actually?
Well, I think that that's a misplaced law. I think it's entirely appropriate that when police officers engage in conduct, that they should be videotaped. In fact, officers now have videotapes in their cars. They also have them on their lapels. So they themselves are using video cameras to protect themselves against false allegations. So it makes common sense that the citizens should have a right to videotape them as well in order to keep them in check. If there had been no video cameras in this case, this officer would not have been charged, and we would not be in the spot that we're in. We had to have a number of video cameras in order to have that have this case. And the point of fact is, the defense even tried to reshape the video cameras by suggesting that there were things on the videos that suggested misconduct by Oscar that clearly was not there. In essence, he was trying to use the video equipment to fool the jury. So the police should be videoed, and that should not be an issue of public discussion.
I have Michael Raines on the web page now. What do you think the sentence might be?
Well, I want the sentence to be a maximum period of time. I understand he could get 14 years in state prison. He should get 14 years in state prison. He's got a break. He really got a break with this particular sentence. He should be looking at life, but he only has to look at 14. So he's already received a gift, and that gift should not be anything less than the 14 years that the law can give to him.
What's next for you and the Grant family?
Well, two things. One, we have a sentencing hearing coming up on August the 6th. At that time, the family will participate at that hearing and give a victim impact statement that basically indicates and reflects how devastating this loss has been for them over the last year and a half. And also, after that, we have a civil lawsuit pending against the officer and Bart, and that will come back. We will go back to court on August the 9th and start that proceeding again.
I thank you for your time, John. Is there anything you would like to say that I have not asked you?
Well, I would only say that, notwithstanding our great disappointment, it was historic in the sense that this is the first time, certainly in Northern California, that I can remember, maybe even the state of California, where a police officer has been convicted of a homicide that occurred in the course of his business, and for that to occur is quite remarkable. Although I think that it's a historic first step, it wasn't a big step. It was a small step, and we have to take that for now and hopefully move to a better place in the future.
And lastly, this all began, there were expected riots, and there were no riots. So any comment on that? And I know you've got to catch your plane.
That's terrific. Me and others have worked hard to make sure that the public understands these issues. The community at large has actively participated in trying to organize the community around a nonviolent approach to this. That they have First Amendment rights, freedom of assembly, freedom of speech. They have a right to exercise those particular rights. The police department was eager to allow that to happen, and there was a coordinated effort to allow people to express themselves and to try to keep the agitators out of the community to create violence when none should occur.
Well, I thank you for your time, John, and I'll let you catch your plane.
Thank you, Bonnie. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.